Hi everyone, welcome to Anti-Burgers United. Today we have an AMA with DAO Whale. So let's get started by having the team introduce themselves, talk about their background and their professional life in crypto, what their experience are like, how they got together as a group, like how do they know each other, and then we'll go from there.
Awesome. So I'll go by the name. Well, firstly, I just want to say thank you for everyone for tuning in and sparing your time to listen to what we've got to show you guys. So I'll go by the alias Shrimptoshi. I've been in crypto since around 2018, 2019. Started off lightly investing into blue chips. So at the time I was investing into BTC. At the time I was buying BTC through ATMs in the UK where they had charged like a 7% fee, which is absolutely outrageous. But back then I wasn't really a heavy investor. I was still fairly young, still getting used to the game and how it all works. And then until about last year, just over 12 months, I started getting into low cap tokens. When one of my friends actually made a token, I lost 90% of my portfolio. Wanted to cry, cried, didn't actually, but nearly cried for a few days. Built this big amount of anger in myself. Where I'd made such a dumb move, but I mean, it was one of the best decisions I had ever made. To be fair, because if it wasn't for that, then I wouldn't be here right now. So yeah, I've been in crypto been developing projects for around a year. Done a few projects in the past. Also currently working on a gamified startup as well, which we're raising through Venture Capital for, which gave me the inspiration to start DAO Whale.
Very nice. Yeah, so going off to you, sorry.
I was going to say, any other team members?
Yeah, no, that's me. So I go by the alias as Cyrus, but feel free to call me Jeff. Jeff or Cyrus is completely fine. I'm happy with either or. So very comparable, very similar to Shrimp. I've been involved in crypto for many years now. I've seen the highs and I've seen the lows on different cycles throughout the period of history. And yeah, I think for me, it's the excitement of being involved in the space. And what I love about the industry is the pugnacious returns that you can gain in such an explosive rate of growth and time. So for me, it's a case of trying to change realistically people's lives in certain conditions. If you can get there, it's the ambition of trying to do such thing. But at the same time as well, it's developing a project that has utilities that allows the community to get together as one and potentially scope the future for projects.
All right, and how do you guys know each other? How do you get this team assembled?
It's been a while. So we've been in like Telegram communities for a while. I met a guy who knew a guy. He added us to a community. We ended up speaking. And then, we just built a really good relationship ever since. Obviously, we invested into a few projects together, DJing projects, lost a bit of money and also made a bit of money. But yeah, it's just mainly been through Telegram. And we know each other in real life as well. So yeah, there's a big level of trust between us. We've known each other for a long while as well. So it's not like we're complete strangers to each other.
So you guys met on Telegram, but then you also met up in real life. Are you guys like locally, like live close by, or you guys just had like a trip?
About an hour trip to each other. He lives on like the other side of London to me.
Oh, nice! You guys are from the UK. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. We're kind of similar here too. We started off basically on Telegram, and so that's how. Yeah, I feel like that's how everyone is, especially in crypto. At least for BSC, for DeFi. All right, let's go move on to the project itself. You guys ready to do the elevator pitch?
Yeah, sure. I just want to, before we jump onto the elevator pitch, I want to show you guys the trailer.
Evil Empire, laughing all the way to the DAO Whale, bring a crowd on the block.
Welcome to DAO Whale. We are here to revive the space by providing a venture capital DAO driven by the community. Similarly to Shark Tank, ambitious founders can pitch their ideas to the whales in the community. Any idea from a snazzy new token, colorful NFTs, or even a totally unique real world project has the potential to rise to the top by receiving investments and turn dreams into a reality. An expert marketing team and huge whales like me will be able to support your project along the way, while the community is rewarded with WOW tokens on staked holdings for proposing and voting on hugely smart investment decisions. They're called WOW tokens because they're going to make you go, wow! Want to earn exponential rewards? Stake WOW, sit back and reap the huge rewards of the Whale Tank's profitable winning strategies. The time is due. Let's own the future. Invest now.
Take my beans. What's that? 5 times 3? That's what? 15 beans. All right, let's go.
Let's go.
So yeah, you guys want me to explain the flash raise and how it works?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So I didn't want to just do a normal build up a huge group of investors, drop a form. Hopefully it fills within a day or so, right? Like we always do in this space. I wanted to do something a little bit different with this project because this project is going to be different. So what we decided to do was an Easter egg flash raise where we will be doing what we're doing today. We'll go to different groups and AMAs and then talk about the flash raise and then drop the form and let everybody have a chance to be one of the contributors. Today we're going to have 5 slots available for your community. After we drop the form, after the 5 first contributors contribute, anything after that will be refunded to them. So this whole idea for this is definitely going to build FOMO. Also, it's going to build trust within the community. You're sending in your beans. If it goes over, we will refund you. And better luck next time finding us on the next flash raise. So like you mentioned earlier before we started the recording, Boria, yeah, the goal is actually for a lot of your community members not to get into the flash raise and actually follow us around, join our Telegram, see where we're going to be at next, and try to get into the next flash raise, and then have that community feel a little more bullish about the project. And as we move along through this journey, I feel like they're going to feel faster and faster when people see, you know, all the partnerships we have, you know, start to learn about the project and what it's going to offer for the investors and the space as a whole. So yeah, that's the whole idea behind the flash raise system.
Perfect. So then, since we're getting front run because we're not going to be able to know about the project until, you know, a little bit later, and we're going to be posting a flash raise link now, that means our community is going to have to take it in turn and front run every future AMA, right?
Or just, you know, throw up a Hail Mary, get in there, throw on the minimum
Yeah.
and
Or just be just ape it.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm behind this project. A lot of the people that I have reached out for partnerships with, you know, call channels and influencers and stuff, that they really like what we're building here, and I feel like it's going to be a solid project. And I'm going to help out with the pre-sale, so I'm sure the launch is going to be epic.
And you said like the minimum is 1 BNB, maximum is 3, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's minimum 1, maximum 3.
Yeah, you could drop 1 bean in, and then as you know, as you learn about the project and get bullish about it after we release, you know, more news and upcoming stuff, like you can go ahead and max your bag later if you want.
Do you have is it 1 per person, 1 wallet?
Yeah, there's a form.
Okay.
Actually,
so you
drop
mean
that form.
1 per Telegram alt. That's what you meant. Okay.
Yeah. So go ahead and drop the form now, and good luck.
All right.
Good luck, everybody.
Let's
you know,
see.
if you're not comfortable aping, don't ape. I don't encourage anybody to ape blindly. The people you see aping into it immediately are probably people that missed out on the last one. We had two flash raises before this, and they both failed. And people were asking. I've gotten DMs afterwards like, "Hey, is there any more slots left in the flash raise?" I'm like, "Sorry, man, just gotta follow us on the next one."
All right, guys, give me 1 second. I gotta do my thing. 1 second.
Oh yeah, it's in. It's in.
Oh, we got one. We got one. It's still pending, by the way. There you go.
Four spots left.
All right, yeah. Warrior, you don't get a chance to try to front run people. You got to continue on with the AMA, buddy.
Come on, I need to fill 5 wallets. Let's pause the AMA for a couple minutes.
Again, it's all his alts ready.
Fill those wallets.
All right, cool, awesome. We can continue on there. Continue on. Let me go. Hold on, let me go open up the wallets and keep track as the AMA is going. See if there's any more contributions coming in.
Oh, we've had BNB come in 44 seconds ago.
We just got one, right? One so far.
Yeah.
What about the previous? Oh, I see that the previous one only did 4. No, only 3 spots. Previous AMA.
Yeah, we only opened up 3 slots in the previous AMA, which we done about an hour ago. We're opening up 5 slots for this AMA.
They're going to vary. So yeah, the slots,
okay.
There's not a set structure. Some, there might be 10 slots. Others, there might be 1 slot. So it's going to vary depending on, I suppose, how we feel going into the AMA and what we want to provide as an opportunity.
All right, cool. Perfect. So is there you guys have an idea of how much or what's your target? How many you want to raise using this method for this private sale?
So in regards to a hard cap, we're looking around 100 BNB. However, that may change due to the community sentiment and where we're at once we've knuckled down all our AMAs within the next week or 2. But yeah, we're gonna keep it fairly small. We want to keep it exclusive. We don't want to have too many contributions because that is more exposed to a dump once we've launched, and that's not something that we want. Obviously, we want to favor our early investors. So yeah, we're going to keep it fairly exclusive, and we're going to close it once we feel like it's necessary.
So about 100 or so, that's the target. All right, cool. And how much? What's the percentage of this? Is this all going to marketing, or is it going to go to liquidity too? Because 100 BNB is a fairly substantial amount. So I'm assuming you probably want to at least save some of that for liquidity.
We're going to spend a large portion on marketing and development. In order for us to raise liquidity, we're going to do that through the pre-sale, which will be on Pink Sale.
And I asked you earlier, but you guys don't know what kind of method you will use for pre-sale, right? So let's just say hypothetically, you fill 100 beans in this private sale. What would be your target for pre-sale?
It really depends on the size of the community. As of now, we can't come up with a definitive answer. However, we can provide a range, and that will be a few hundred BNB. But we're going to base it off of the sentiment of the community. We're going to do whatever's best. We need to make sure that we're going to get the buy pressure once we've launched the token. But we'll also, we don't want to raise too little because it would contradict the whole utility of the DAO. With the DAO, we need to raise funds so then we can create investments into projects that will be launching out the whale tank. Obviously, the more investments we make and the smarter they are, the more profit there will be. Therefore, it's more beneficial for our investors who stake their tokens.
Yeah, so quite literally, it's a fine balance between that. So of course, we'll be gauging community sentiment, hype levels, but at the same time, we still want to make sure that there's going to be a hell of a lot of buying pressure. And of course, we have the pleasure of working alongside Conda, who's going to be helping manage marketing for DAO Whale. So I'm sure we won't have any issues there. But yeah, of course, it is a fine balance between the two.
Okay. All right. I'm just saying, if it's going to be 100 BNB private sale, and then you do 200 in pre-sale, assuming there's no vesting, correct, for private?
No, there is no vesting at all.
All right. Yeah, but you know what I mean? You want to make sure that there's enough liquidity, because if you're going to, take...
Of course.
Because basically private sale is going to be funding the marketing, and it's not going to be contributing to liquidity. So your liquidity pool is going to be fairly low compared to all the beans that were collected. So that's why I was kind of looking at
Yeah, it
that?
makes sense. That would mean we would obviously have to allocate more out of the pre-sale towards the liquidity pool, maybe increase the percentage going towards liquidity.
Yeah, exactly. All right, cool. You guys want to do the? I know we did the video. Do you have like a presentation now for the project?
All we've got is the website, but there isn't an exact presentation. But yeah, we can talk about the project, and then yeah.
All right. Yeah. Tell me about the project. What is it? What makes it unique? Like,
So,
why do we invest?
I mean, so firstly, everyone on the team, I'm sure like everyone in crypto has experienced something similar, especially when it comes to meme coins, shit coins, degen plays, is that we've invested our funds into certain projects that have lost us money. And some of those reasons range from inexperienced devs, lack of funds, or not having the right network. So essentially what we wanted to do was provide a solution to that in the form of creating a DAO. So we got our inspiration from Shark Tank or Dragon's Den if you're from the UK, but I'm sure we all know what it is. It's essentially a platform where people come on and pitch, right? But the problem is with Shark Tank and Dragon's Den is that the people who make the decisions are the sharks. In order for someone to become a shark, it's incredibly hard. You need a lot of money, you need status, you need a reputation, right? So what we're doing is we're redefining that whole concept and doing it in the form of a DAO, meaning anyone who owns a token has an equal vote to change the trajectory of the crypto space, so the BSC space or the ETH space, right? So our platform is going to be called the Whale Tank. It's an all-in-one hub where ambitious founders can come on, they can pitch their ideas, their concepts in hopes of receiving investment, incubation and exposure, marketing, everything that a project needs, we're going to provide through our partners in order to turn that idea or that concept into a reality. And as a token community, as a token holder of the community, each individual who owns X amount of tokens has an equal vote to propose and vote on ideas. So let's say, Anti-Raga, you guys had a token, but you didn't have the right network, you didn't have the right resources, and you didn't have the funding. What you need to do is you need to buy the Whale token, create a proposal. If the proposal is compelling enough to the point that other voters of the community vote on your idea, and let's say you get chosen, you come onto our platform, you'd do your pitch, your presentation. If the whales and the community like your idea, then we'll not only invest into you, but we'll provide you with certain services that you lack. So let's say you need marketing, we'll provide you with the marketers that are in the space, that are experienced, that have the network that can market for you. So essentially, in a nutshell, we take projects that need certain things and we turn them into a reality. We actually turn them into fruition.
All right, so this is almost like a crowdfunding type of community investment type project, right? I mean, that's kind of what it boils down to.
It's an indirect crowdfunding project, and the way how the DAO is funded is through the taxes, the tokenomics. So 3% buy and sell is collected into the DAO treasury, which is used to invest into these projects.
All right, so go ahead.
Yeah, so the thing is with me for this, so with the Whale Tank specifically, I love the dynamic of what we're offering. Of course, it's the center of gravity for what our project's proposing. So in a nutshell and in layman terms, it's just simply a place where we will have projects or aspiring developers come onto our platform and essentially pitch their project, you know, what makes their project special. Now, of course, after thought and once they finish their proposition, their proposal, their pitch, we of course would reflect as a community on whether we would believe that that project deserves funding. Now, obviously, within this space, as everyone knows, marketing costs are expensive and they aren't getting any cheaper. So you could have projects here with, extremely unique utilities with fantastic ideas and, unique dynamics to their project that can't receive the funding. And therefore, the likelihood of succeeding without the right marketing and exposure is really quite difficult. So that's what we're offering. We're helping essentially scope and shape the lower side of crypto to see, where it can take you. So they would essentially come on board, they pitch their idea. As stated, we would then reflect, we would discuss with this exclusive community within the Whale Tank to whether that project deserves incubation or whether they deserve, marketing management. And of course, utilizing our partnerships that we've got, that's going to provide us a lovely platform to help our chosen projects go and market and of course reach their full potential.
All right. And what would be the advantage of someone, obviously buying the token and then they would be almost like a part owner of one of the projects that you guys are, starting up or funding? Why would they do this instead of just going directly and investing into projects themselves?
Because through owning our token, you're not only just owning our token, but you get indirect ownership of all the projects that we incubate. So the more successes that we create that launch out the Whale Tank, the more rewards an investor will receive. So the way how the actual DAO works is, let's say we invested 50K into your token, and then within 2 to 3 weeks, your token provides us with a 100% ROI, so 2x that money, right? So that 50K profit will be split upon 3 ways. The 30% will be used to buy back our native token and then reflected back upon staked holdings. The other 30% will be reflected back in BNB. This way, it's completely hyperinflationary proof. Therefore, whether the value of our token decreases or increases, you're still going to get rewarded in BNB. Therefore, people can't use our tokens as exit liquidity, right? So people can still get rewarded. And then the other 40% will be used to buy back. The 40% will be used to further grow the DAO treasury, meaning over a long period of time, we can further grow the DAO treasury, which leads us to a bigger pot that we can use to invest into projects, meaning more profits for our token holders through the long term.
Also, I want to add something to that. So a reason why you would want to invest in something that we're pushing out other than, just going to a random project and getting into their private sale is we will be not only vetting them like properly, but we will also be as a community and as a committee making sure that it's a good investment, and not only making sure that it's a good investment, but actually putting in the work to make it a good investment for the investors, So like my goal coming on board with them, I kind of wanted to do this whole thing where our partnerships are not only, with Anti-Ruggers and like Brian's Coin Launch Lounge, not only like a promo partnership, but also an actual partnership where you guys will be part of the Shark Tank. You guys will be helping us to determine whether you want these promos in your groups and whether this is a good investment for our community. So it's a lot bigger than what you would expect it to be right now, and it's going to grow into something a lot bigger than we even have planned as of launch. So that's why.
All right. So from what I understand it, this is going to be a complete, like you guys will be starting up almost like a startup or investors, venture capital, like angel investors in a way for all these projects. So this will completely eliminate private sale, right?
Yeah, it would completely eliminate private sales. The way how we're going to invest into projects is, instead of your generic token in a private sale where they experience the potential risk of private sale dumping, instead what we're going to do, our solution for that is, instead of us directly sending you the funds, we're going to pay for all of the development cost, all the marketing cost directly to our partners. Therefore, they can come on and develop certain things for you. They can do the marketing for you. And then once you've launched your pre-sale on Pink Sale, then you pay us back the loan that we the loan that we provided plus interest. So we're shifting away from taking tokens. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to provide you a loan. You're going to pay us back through the pre-sale, and then you could, depending on the project, we would also take a percentage of the volume tax as well for a duration of time.
So essentially, it could be really quite adaptive. There's no set structure of the deal. It really depends on what project comes on board and essentially what they would require in regards to assistance or help. Some projects would require a larger depth of effort and, of course, funding, whereas some might not require as much. So, of course, deals will be tailor-made, but profits are pushed back into the community. It's very similar to, I don't know if you've ever seen or if anyone here has seen it or watched the episode Shark Tank. So the concept is very comparable to that, where essentially prospective project owners or businessmen will come on board, they'll pitch their project, and of course off the back of that, it really gets it goes down to D-Day on whether they will receive the funding for their proposition. It's a very similar concept, but of course tailored to the crypto industry.
All right, yeah. On Shark Tank, they usually make a deal. The sharks give out cash, to grow the business, but in return they get equity in the business. So let's say 10%, 20%, which also that would be the profit sharing part of it. Normally, what plus profit split along equity percentages, right? But what you were saying, what you guys will be doing is more like providing funds for pre-sale. So let's say like 30 BNB you will provide, and you pay that to the marketers for development, for AMAs, and then you will get that back out of the, let's say, out of the pink sale, pre-sale. So you will not be getting any equity in the project with this, right? You just said you're going to be just a percentage plus interest, or whatever you loaned plus interest. So that means that you won't be getting equity in the project unless you guys will also be getting tokens. Can you maybe explain how the whole process will work, or run us through an example? Let's just say I want to do go with you guys and get funding from our pre-sale, and I need let's say 30 BNBs, or maybe I don't even know how much BNBs I need. Let's say I had an interview with you, you guys approved me, you guys want to do this for me, you want to do the invest or fund my pre-sale. Can you explain it, how it will work from the initial process from beginning to end?
Sure. So the whole vision of what we're doing is essentially to provide founders a way to launch projects without any funding. So let's say you wanted to pitch for 50 BNB to fund marketing and development and all that stuff, right? So instead of us directly sending you the 50 BNB, we'd go to our partners who are the incubators. We'd pay them. They're going to be hands-on with your project. You're going to pitch them your project and what you're trying to do within the space. And then what they will do is they'll tailor a certain marketing strategy of how they think would do well for your specific project. Let's say they've done all the incubation, they marketed it, right? In return, what we would want is, instead of us getting tokens from your project, which we would therefore have to dump in order to realize the profits, which wouldn't be beneficial for your project. So we're not going to solely take tokens. We're going to take our initial 30 BNB back through the pre-sale. Since we partnered out with PinkSale, basically all the projects that launch through the Whale Tank are obligated to IDO on PinkSale. Therefore, out of the funds that you don't allocate towards liquidity, those will be used to pay back the initial loan that we've provided, development and marketing costs. And then, depending on how well the project is, if we see longevity and potential in your project that is just more than a meme coin, then we might take a small percentage of tokens, vested tokens, or some volume tax.
All right, so can you explain or go through an example of, let's say I come to you, I need my 30 BNB for private sale loan, or you guys basically do marketing too, right? You'll basically send me whatever I need to go to do my AMAs. So let's say 30 BNB of costs, then I'm going I'll do a pink sale.
Yeah, so
I raised like 200 BNB, right? So then I'm gonna pay you back the 30 plus, let's say, a percentage for interest. And what else?
yeah, so if let's say you wanted to raise 30 BNB through us, you needed marketing, you needed development, you'd come onto the Whale Tank, you'd pitch if we like your project, then we sign you on. We'll provide you with a term sheet on what you need and how we think your project should be marketed. Obviously, it's going to be a team effort, so we're going to get your contribution on what you think will do well, and we'll get our guys on board. So we'll provide the marketing and we'll work with you to market the project. Since we've got partnerships with many cool channels, we're going to be marketing your project through the cool channels as well. Let's say we've done with the cool channels, we've done 20 cool channels, you've got a fairly decent sized community, the sentiment is bullish, then you'd come on to Pink Cell to do your pre-sale. And then out of, let's say, the 200 BNB that you do raise, then you'd pay back the initial 30 BNB that we had funded for you. And then we'd get, let's say, 0.5% of your volume tax for the first 48 hours. And then all of the profits that we've made from your project would be used to reflect back upon the community.
Profits in which way?
So let's say, we've invested into your project, we take 1% of your volume tax, and within the first 48 hours, you've done 3 million volume. So 1% of that would be 30K. That 30K profit would come back in BNB, since your contract would have an auto swap. So 30K would be the profit. The 30K will be split upon a 30, 30, and 40 split, which goes 60% goes towards the community, and then 40% will go back to the DAO treasury to grow the funding.
All right. So okay, I'm still a little bit confused about the purpose, because the initial pitch is basically, if you are the owner of the token, your guys' token, basically you'll vote on investments, on projects, and you'll be like part owner of all these projects, right? But now you're talking about it's more like a loan service. So yeah, you're gonna get profits from it, like 1% of your whatever, like volume and all that. But it's more of just like like almost like an angel investor type of thing. But since you're not getting tokens, how is the community going to be owning these tokens? For example, right here it says token holders are given opportunity to propose, vote, investment ideas. So investment ideas through the DApp. But then you're saying it's not really an investment; it's more like a loan for pre-sale or for marketing for pre-sale. So can you maybe explain a little bit like how the investment part of this factors in?
So like mentioned before, it's not just the loans that we're providing, it's not just projects that we're investing into. So out of the 100% of the DAO treasury, we're going to split it. So 50% of the funding will go towards project proposals that come out of the Whale Tank. 40% will be used to invest into blue chips, so BTC, BNB, ETH, and then 10% will be used to so we're basically allocating the 10% towards a team of futures trading, so they can generate returns. But overall, we're open to any type of proposal that has the potential to generate profits for the community.
Okay, so it's not just funding for pre-sales.
Yeah, it's not just that. It can be any idea. It could be an NFT project. It could be an in real life business idea that has the potential. As long as something has potential to grow and generate profits, then those proposals are accepted.
Okay, all right. So there's going to be like funds that will be split up into different buckets. For example, like a percentage of it will go to the loan service, where you're not getting any tokens. Like you're just going to basically get your initial back plus an percentage on top of that as interest, which will go back in the treasury. And then and there's going to be another bucket that goes just directly into buying projects, right? Buying tokens. And then so it's fluid. Basically, holders could vote on whatever they want to do, right? So it's not just one thing, that's it. It's not just loans. It's not just investments. It could be anything that people want to do in the community, right?
Yeah, that's precise.
Do you have like a flow chart of how the, let's say, profits will be split up? Let's say, you have the bucket, you have the taxes, how everything works together. So basically, are the devs taking half the profit and half is going to the community, or is the community getting all the profit based on how many tokens they're holding? Do you have like a example or a flow chart of that?
So if you go into DAO on the white paper, if you click on that image there, so this needs to be updated, but it's a 3% buy, 3% sell as well. So once the user does their transaction, they buy their tokens, 3% would be auto swapped and then collected into DAO treasury, which then once they've connected their wallets to the DApp, they can submit proposals and votes to the protocol for investment. Top 10 proposals per week will be sent to the DAO Whale for DD, due diligence, for investment. And then once invested and profited, then the 100% of the profits will be split upon 30% going towards stakers, 30% going towards BNB reflections, and then 40% going towards a DAO treasury to further grow the DAO treasury itself.
Okay. All right. So 30% is going to buybacks, and these buybacks, what will happen with those tokens?
They'll be reflected.
It's going to be reflected to stakers. Okay.
Yeah.
So stakers will get the tokens from the buybacks, 30% in BNB reflections. So this would just be straight up reflections.
Yeah.
So this is to holders or to
holders?
To holders. Okay. And 40%. Okay. To DAO treasury, and this DAO treasury is basically what's going to be investing and funding. And go back to the doing more loans, doing more tokens, more investments. Okay, that makes sense. All right, let's go move on to the tokenomics, because I'm curious. Let's say if I wanted a 30,000 or 30 BNB, whatever it is, investment or to help, or the loan for my pre-sale, where is it gonna come from? Like, how are you guys gonna be funding that? So this is the taxes, right? The DAO is 3%, marketing is 3%, liquidity pool. So this DAO, this is going to be the whole tax. Well, this is okay, 8% for cells. It's a little bit higher. So your whole use case is basically reliant on this 3% tax, right? To get
no. Because we're going to allocate some of the DAO treasury funding from the pre-sale. And then we've also got, if you click on token distribution, we're allocating 10% of our tokens towards the treasury, which will be vested.
All right. Okay. I want to talk about this too. Okay. So let's see. Total supply, 100%, private sale, 5%. So 5%, and you guys are saying your target is around 100 BNB. So 5%, 100 BNB. That's about 2,000 BNB valuation at private sale. Price, let's see, pre-sale liquidity, 22%. Treasury 10. Okay, staking is a huge percentage of the supply. And can you tell about like what's West? Do you have like the vesting schedules yet? Like what's going to be vested, how long, or like just like a rough idea, like a ballpark, if you don't have the exact numbers?
So the vesting schedules, we're going to vest the DAO treasury, the staking, airdrops, sex listings, team advisors, pretty much the whole thing apart from private sale and pre-sale and liquidity for the moment. In terms of the actual schedule, we don't have those just yet, but those will be on a white paper once they're finalized.
What?
But we don't want to.
Are any of them going to be released at TGE? Like at least even a small percentage, or
a very small percentage. Very small percentage. Yeah, we don't want to inflate the chart too much, because we are in the BSC space and things do get explosive. So the vesting schedules aren't going to be very quick. They're going to be dragged out for a fair duration of time.
All right. And also this staking, what kind of incentives are you going to be providing the stakers? I mean, obviously they're going to get the tokens. Is there a certain APY you're looking at, or is it going to be based on, how many wallets are staking, or how many BNBs being staked, how many tokens being staked? Do you have like a rough idea of how the staking will work?
Yeah, so the incentive for staking is obviously once you stake, you're exposed to 30% of the profits that the DAO, the Whale Tank profits make. If you don't stake, then you're not exposed to that 30%, but you will be earning the other 30% of the BNB reflections. Therefore, you're not earning as much as you would be if you were to stake. In terms of API, we don't have that just yet. Those are currently in development, so once they're ready, they will be posted as well.
And will staking require like a lock, like a 90-day, 30-day lock, something like that?
So we're going to have different staking options. The initial one is not going to have a lock. You can stake and unstake freely. And then we're going to have different options where there will be different durations of locks. And if you do unlock and you've agreed to, for example, 7 days, then you will be hit with a minor fee.
All right, what's to prevent investors from just selling their staking tokens as soon as they get them?
Well, if you, as soon as you stake and you get your rewards, and let's say you do sell, then you're not exposed to the further profits that we're going to make further down the line through the DAO treasury. So the aim of the game is to stake more. As you stake more, you can earn more.
Basically compounding, right?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
let's just say like if you're an investor, instead of taking your initial out, whatever, you're selling some at like 2-3x whatever, your plan is just to sell the tokens that are, you earn from staking. So every time there's an airdrop or whatever, or maybe every week or so, you're to be selling them off. So the only advantage of keeping those tokens, which is the same as buying more, right? It's gonna accumulate a higher percentage. You're gonna have a higher rewards. But if someone wants to just constantly at least take profits or passive income from staking, they would just be selling them, right? But so there's no like incentive other than a higher percentage to hold these tokens, right? Like the staking, there's no like diamond hand mechanics that basically you have to hold your stake tokens or you have to restake or pay a penalty. There's nothing like that, right?
Sorry, can you repeat that last bit again, please?
I'm just saying, like, for the staking part, there's no like mechanics, like diamond hand mechanics or penalties for selling the tokens that are earned through staking. Because, for example, what we're doing for one of my projects is the diamond hands. Only diamond hand get reflections, which is basically like the staking. But if they sell any of their tokens, they're not diamond hand anymore. So then they're gonna lose the future, reflections.
Oh yeah. So what we're planning to do is we're planning to implement different tiers into the Whale Tank, where if you stake more, you're exposed to more of the potential earnings that will be made. So there'll be 3 different tiers: tier 3 being the lowest, and then tier 1 being the highest. The aim of the game is to stake more. Obviously, the more you stake, the more you accumulate, the further your chances of reaching the next tier will be, which gives you more exposure to the Whale Tank. You're going to earn more rewards, and you're going to unlock different features of the Whale Tank.
Okay, all right. So airdrops, listing. So the team tokens, they will be vested or locked for a minimum amount too. Like what I'm mainly looking at is if all these big wallets, if they're going to be at least locked for a couple of weeks, like 100%, like, or maybe if this is like this 30% staking wallet, assuming staking starts on day 1, maybe 1% will be unlocked, because you don't need all like 30% of it unlocked at day 1. So it's just more for like safety. Just make sure that most of these wallets will be locked, and if they are slowly released, it'll be like a small percentage, not like 5% a day or anything like that.
Yeah, for full transparency, everything's going to be locked before we launch. All the links will be public as well, so everyone can look, see how long the vesting schedules are. Obviously, we want to make sure that no one's going to get dumped on. We're going to implement certain measures where we are going to be able to sustain without having to inflate the chart by dumping tokens, which is something we definitely do not want to do.
All right. So another thing I want to touch up on is if 30% of the profits are going to go back to stakers, assuming you guys are successful, that could be a lot of profits. So if these profits are going back to staking, but then you also have 30% for staking, isn't that a little bit too much? Too many tokens reserves just for staking?
Yeah, that's a good question. The reason why we've implemented 5% staking token allocation is because the actual 30% is more like a plan B. So the majority of the profits the stakers will earn will come from the investments directly. However, if the investments don't go to plan, then people will still continue to get rewarded. So the 30% is like a plan B. The 30% of tokens here, plan B. And then through the profits from the actual DAO investments, that's going to be our main focus of rewarding our stakers.
Okay, all right. And another thing is with private sale, there's always the risk. Let's say even devs, they collect the 30 BNB, they use it for marketing, and then the pre-sale fails, and then they're or if they do have a pre-sale, let's say it's a fair launch, they're barely raised enough. Let's say give it as an example. Let's say 30 BNB for private, they do a fair launch, and they only raise another 40, 50 BNB. And now that fair launch, 70% of it has to go liquidity. So now your liquidity is about 20 or so BNB, but you sold 50 BNB worth of tokens, right? So it could lead potentially to dumps because there's a lot of value or basically offered value to investors, but the actual real value in the project is the liquidity. So if it's kind of like if you're up 100x, but you could only sell 10x, own 10% of your supply before it goes down to 1x, then you're not really up 100x, just on paper. So same thing with like tokens that have very low liquidity and really high market cap. I mean, on paper it looks like you made a lot of profit or you have a lot of funds, but if you, let's say there's projects we had currently now, like where guys invested $100,000, for example, and then they might be up 2x on the price, but liquidity is only 50K, so they can't even sell 30% of their 30% of the tokens without crashing it back down to zero. So what I'm trying to say is projects, they could fail, or they have a private sale and they don't fill with the target, they don't reach the target for pre-sale, which happens a lot, and then private sale gets screwed. And I think this is the kind of one of the reasons why you guys doing it this way. It's almost like it's less risk for the investors because you are like managing the project, managing the private sale to make sure that the funds is spent correctly. But at the end of the day, it still could be a thing where the devs just kind of screw off, or they fail, or you catch them, scamming. So maybe they pass your initial vetting, but there's always something that could happen, right? So let's say that it's not successful. So there's risk in there, right? About getting repaid. So you spent 30 BNB, you basically loaned them to do the AMAs, and let's say the devs kind of give up, or they just screw off, or it fails. Is there any contingencies you guys have for something like this?
Yeah, so it's a good point, and you covered two different points there. So the initial, of course, would be working towards a successful pre-sale. Now, of course, as a team, we believe we've got the utilities, we've closed the partnerships, we've got the plan in place to make sure that our pre-sale is as successful as it can possibly be. So, of course, that would negate your liquidity issue. Then following on to your second point, when we're investing into certain projects, how can we make sure that we are as safe as possible and as secure as possible within those investments. Now, of course, deals can be put in place, whether it's incubation in regards to producing contracts. Now, of course, if we're developing contracts for these projects, we can have certain parts put in there where we will receive X amount through volume. There are different measures and security measures that will be put in place to make sure that it is concrete, solid, and safe for the community, but also for the DAO treasury as well.
Also, Boria, you know how safe I am, and I make sure to do the best I can do to protect the early investors, right? So not only have the KYC done, but they also personally dox to me as well. So
yeah, well, I'm just saying it could be not even a fault of the devs. Let's say the market just dumps. I mean, which kind of makes sense. Of course, anyone would have lost money at that point. But what I'm trying to say is the risk of private sales burning through funds and then having a failed pre-sale. It could still happen here, especially if the devs aren't really doing any work. If you guys doing all the work for the devs, what's the incentive for them to really work their ass off to make sure the privates or the pre-sale is successful? Because I feel with the projects we like the most are the ones where the devs have skin in the game, where they either invested some of their own funds, their own capital, and they're basically in there. If the project fails, they're gonna lose money, right? But if the devs really have no risk because all the funds raised is through the community, through investors, and then on top of that, they're not even doing anything. Like you guys are doing all the work for them, like doing the the pre-sale. Because you said you guys also will have like development, all of these features you could help the dev. So why is the dev even needed? Like, why do we even need the dev?
Well, I will say, yeah, I'm helping them to fill the pre-sale. I'm helping them to build these partnerships, but these guys are out there grinding every day. Like they're getting other partnerships out there. They're talking to everybody in the space. They're getting the deal.
No, I'm not talking about DAO Whale. I'm not talking about you guys, not DAO Whale, but I'm just saying for projects that will be using your service,
Yeah.
There's already an issue with devs really basically giving up after launch, or slow rugging, or just like being only active until launch and then disappearing because they don't really have any investment, their own investment, and there's no motivation, right? In a real startup, a real business, you put your own funds in there. You have to get a warehouse or an office. You have the startup capital. So that's motivation for someone to succeed. But in crypto, a lot of times they have none of their own funds invested. And on top of that, if you guys are doing, I'm just saying, if you guys will be doing all this for them, helping them, with incubation, raising, for the pre-sale, it just gives me even less incentive to be successful because they're not losing anything, right? If it fails, what did they lose?
That's not always the case though, because we're going to have a wide array of people proposing on certain ideas. Certain people are going to need investment. Certain people that have already invested, but they might need that additional funding from us. Some people might not even come for funding. Some people might come solely for the incubation that we provide. So it really does depend on who's pitching. And obviously we want to make sure that these people have good track records. They've got skin in the game. We're not accepting newbies, let's say. We want people that have an experience, that have a novel idea that they think will do well. We're going to push them through a vetting process where we understand how they think, what their experiences are, what their network, who they're networked with. So it really does depend on what's proposing.
Also, in addition to your point there, Shrimp, it's we're not pushovers. We're businessmen. We're entrepreneurs ourselves. So for us, looking at these projects, there are procedures that are going to be put in place so that essentially there is a way in which there is skin in the game. Because I understand exactly what you're saying. You're saying, well, if they're not paying out anything for marketing, it doesn't matter whether or not to them that the project succeeds. I totally understand your point. It's a great point. But there are, of course, many different measures that we can put in place to make sure that, they're going to be putting their all into it. They're going to be putting their heart into it. But at the same time as well, we're not just going to be a pushover and pick any random project. the projects that we pick are for a reason, and that's because we see growth and development within that team or that project. That token, we can see something there that will give us as a community an opportunity to make profit. So of course our selections are going to be extremely selective. We're not just picking any random project that does come on board for the sake of it, because of course if you do go down that route, a lot of these projects don't make it or aren't successful. So we're going to be very selective to what we will decide to provide funding to. But it's a very good point.
Will you have any kind of control over the contract, or at least until maybe a week after launch, or at least hours after launch?
Yeah. So these are things that we can of course discuss with the project. Now, going back to the slight sort of incubation side of things, we have developers. So this is something that we can take into consideration. These projects might not necessarily have a dev in the market that is is well known and established. So therefore, that's an opportunity that we can propose. Well, look, we can have this particular developer here, back end, whatever it might be, and of course we can have it put into the contract that we would receive X, Y, Z, depending on whatever deal that may be.
Okay, all right. So it really comes down to you guys really getting a good feel for the team and vetting it, because the risk is really all in who you pick. It's kind of like you're giving them a loan in a way, right? And that's the thing. What I'm seeing is there, and why I asked about, is there any kind of mitigation? Because in a bank, when this collateral, usually you get a mortgage loan, the collateral is the house. If you don't pay, you're going to lose the house. But in crypto, it's really hard to just kind of screw off and not have any penalties. That's what I'm saying. It's very important. If these guys are coming to you and and essentially you're giving them a loan, at least make sure that when it launches, or you have some kind of deal with, you're gonna get the BNB directly from PinkCell, the 30%, whatever it is, because what's to stop them, from just like launching and then not paying you back, So all these things need to be accounted for.
Exactly that, and they definitely will be, all of these, and to ensure the community and investors, like I said, we will be selective with what we choose, but there are also going to be these measures put in place to make sure that what we are putting our money into and what we're backing is of course going to provide us a return.
All right, awesome. All right, moving on. I see you guys have an NFT index fund. Is this some other kind of crowd owned?
So the NFT index fund collection, the whole vision of that is basically to provide it's basically to decrease the entry barriers of having multiple indirect ownerships of projects. Therefore, instead of an investor coming across 10 different projects and investing into each individual one, instead what they can do is they can buy the NFT index fund, which has the ownership of the Whale Tank projects. The value of the projects that we're investing in will be in direct correlation to the value of the NFT. Therefore, I'll give you an example. So let's say we've invested into 10 projects, three non-profitable, but then there's 7 are. The 3 non-profitable tokens will be offset against the 7, and then that will create the value of the NFT. Further incentives is that people can stake the NFTs and then earn our native token, our WHAL tokens. So this is something that we're going to do further down the line once we've established many investments through the Whale Tank and built a fairly decent sized community.
Yeah, well said. I agree exactly with what Shroom says there.
All right, cool. Yeah, I forgot to ask you guys. I normally do this in the beginning. You guys said you know each other, right? You're KYC'd?
Sorry, have we KYC'd? Yeah, we've KYC'd to PinkCell. And that's one of the security measures that we're going to be partaking for all the projects that come into the Whale Tank.
I say you're KYC'd. You guys also docs to each other, right? Because you said
we know each other in real life. Yeah. We're
not doxed publicly, right?
No, we're not doxed publicly, no.
All right, and also about this DAO, you have the token, you have the DAO, you have all these wallets. So this is going to be, I'm assuming it's going to have quite a few contracts running all this. Is all this ready? Is it audited?
So the actual DAO itself is stored off chain. So we're not going to have a complex smart contract that could potentially face certain complexities. So the actual DAO itself is pretty simple, right? So similar to like a basic marketing wallet, is that when people transact the native token, that token is taxed and then auto swapped into BNB. So we're creating a separate wallet called the DAO wallet. As tokens are being bought and sold, it's being taxed, it's being auto swapped into BNB, and then it sits in that wallet, which is multi-sigged as well. And it's going to be all publicly available on a DApp, so people can track how much money is in the wallet, how much it's grown by, our profit ROI from investing into projects. Another feature that we're implementing as well for the DAO and the Whale Tank is that when projects come to pitch, they can get trending on our platform. So similar to Pink Cell with the launch pads, you get different projects that are trending, number 1 all the way to number 10, for example. We're going to be implementing that into our platform as well. And that will be done. There's currently development. I've just sent in a screenshot.
Yeah, I was going to say send in a quick sneak peek just so they can get a rough idea of what you said there.
So yeah, this picture I've sent in, this is where you're going to input the project details, the website, the Twitters, the project concept, and then it's going to have, it's going to ask you some questions about your personal experience within crypto. People got to filter through this. Our team backend are going to be filtering through the best proposals, and making sure that we aren't wasting our time as well as our investors and our community's time with poor proposals.
All right, but so the DAO itself will be run off chain. So at the end of the day, the community still has to trust you 100%, right? Because you guys are still managing this off chain, including marketing, all the wallets, the basically all this part of it, the treasury. It's all gonna be managed. Is there gonna be any multi-sign wallets?
Yeah, they're all the wallets that we're going to have are going to be multi-signatured via Gnosis.
Okay. All right, awesome. I think that's pretty much all the questions I had.
Yeah, thank you for your questions.
Well, I did have one more about the audit. Like, who did the audit, and also who wrote the contract?
So our dev, Sean King, is quite big in the space. He's done many projects in the past. So he's going to be doing the contract. And in terms of audit, we haven't started audit yet. We're still finalizing certain things on our smart contract, but we're looking to partner up with an audit company as well for our incubation services.
All right, cool. And about the pre-sale, you guys said you still don't know. Like you said, it'll be a community vote, right? Based on if it's gonna be a fair launch, pre-sale. I mean, I guarantee you, if it's a vote, most likely the community is not gonna pick a fair launch because I don't think anyone really likes fair launches. So, are you actually gonna go with the community vote, or how will you decide which one to pick? Because I think that will make a big difference and who's gonna invest in private sale also, especially if they know the answer if it's fair launch versus pre-sale.
So as it stands, sorry, I was just reading the message from the chat. So yeah, as it stands in regards to launch process, that's still up for discussion. Now, of course, a lot does boil down to community sentiment. Of course, taking into consideration the project, it is fairly, I think we'd all agree it's fairly community sensitized. So moving forward with, choice of pre-sale amount, or alternatively, whether to do a subscription, whether to do a fair launch or just, your generic traditional pre-sale, that's something that we will, of course, gauge over the next coming weeks. So that's still very much up for discussion. And that's, of course, something that we will really spectate over the next week to 10 days, running up to, launch day. And of course, we can then assess that and take it accordingly. So yeah, to conclude, it's very much up for discussion still.
Okay, all right. And let's say, like I talked to you about this earlier. Let's say I'm an investor and I don't like fair launch. If you guys will go ahead and go with the fair launch, would I be able to get my refund?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's all the questions I have, guys. Let's open up to the community. I know there's been some questions in chat, but I think they have more or less been answered. Does anyone have any questions? You guys could hear me, right? I had a drop.
Yeah. I think you've asked all of the questions.
Yeah, that's what happened.
No more questions left.
Like,
Let's
the
ask.
community doesn't know what to ask anymore.
You just covered everything. But no, it was. If no one's got any questions, and you think of something further down the line, we're very open to answering. Feel free to send us a message. We're here to, of course, answer any questions that you have, negate any concerns that you have as well. So, and we're not just saying this; we do mean this. If you've got questions that you might not have right now, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Let us know. Send us a message. Tag us in the chat here if you want with your question. We'll come and answer. Obviously, as and when we see it.
By the way, did you mention something about subscription? Because I got disconnected. About the Pixel subscription model. Yeah, a little bit earlier when I was asking you about
Right, okay. Yeah, so it's just something that we could have in the pipeline to consider. Our actual choice of publication hasn't been decided yet. So whether that's a pre-sale, whether that's subscription, or alternatively, a fair launch, that's still very much up for discussion.
But in my opinion, the subscription is not. It's not a really an actual valid type of pre-sale. It's really a marketing gimmick for Pink-Sale.
Yeah, it is. It's a marketing strategy. If I'm going to be honest with you, we won't. Although we're open-minded, we won't be going with subscription. It's just something that if anything turns around and it turns out that may work well. I don't want to completely say we're not going down that route, but the likelihood of going down the subscription is slim to next, basically slim to none.
Yeah, all it is just all it does is prove that Pink-Sale is the one actually buying up all their launches, especially the fair launches. Because when you have 20 BNB or 20K, 30, 40, 50K BNB subscription, most of those are Pink-Sale wallets. But yeah, anyways, man.
Fair indication.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a big fan. Especially here in our community, we're not a big fan. We're not big fans of fair launches or subscription, because let's face it, the way that a token goes, right? I want to give my little spiel here.
Sure.
The way you make money in this space is when you're buying something that has low supply and high demand.
Yeah.
That's all it really boils down to. That's why whitelist spots in hyped launches, or whitelist spots in small hard cap pre-sales, why they were always so valuable, because people were like, well, if only like 100 guys get in and 1,000 want it, it's gonna go up. But if everyone could get in, and that's what fair launches always dump, because everyone that wants to get in already got in, and then after it doesn't pump at launch, they slowly start selling, and they know like, well, if I don't sell now, then this is gonna dump further because someone else is gonna jeet. So it's almost like a race to jeet. Even if you believe in the project, it ends up just being a race to jeet and then buying the dip if there is one. But most of the time, they never recover from the dip either.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting that you say that, because that is the exact predicament that we're in. Now, as Shrimp mentioned throughout the AMA today, it's a balance between making sure that we've got funding for the DAO treasury for, of course, investments, but at the same time as well, balance between allowing investors to make profitable investments and strategies to make money for themselves. So that's the predicament that we're in now. So it's getting a fine balance between the two. We want our investors to make good returns, and we want to build the hype. And there's pros and cons to both different methods. But yeah, it's a very valid point, and it's a point that I'd agree with. You can essentially have, it's a fact, you'll have more buying pressure with a low hard cap in comparison to a fair launch, because of course that can run over and more people can get involved, and people may miss out on the pre-sale. So yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from, but I can assure you, everything that we're doing now will have the project's best interest at heart, not our back pockets.
Yeah, definitely. And I think what you guys could do, you could always start off small. For example, how you have the let's see, let me go back to that. Tokenomics distribution, you have the DAO treasury 10%, but most of that will still be locked, right? Because you don't want to like dump it all at once anyway in the beginning.
Correct.
So
it's going to be, yeah, we're going to manage the funding accordingly, of course.
So basically, like to get enough treasury in there to, let's say, start doing the loans or doing the investments or the blue chips, whatnot. Let's say you need like maybe the first client's going to be 20 BNB they want to borrow, right? So I would say like between a 3% buy tax and sell tax, I'm assuming it's going to be like 5% or higher or whatever because the total tax is higher. So let's say 3% buy, 5% sell for the DAO treasury. That would be your way to get the initial going. But yeah, once you get that 20 BNB, you loan it out, and I would say charge them up the ass for interest rate because this is like almost like a loan shark type of, it's not like a mortgage loan where you have collateral. This is crypto, so it's usually the higher the risk, the higher the interest, right? So I would say charge them 2% a day or something like that. Who knows?
Yeah, that's the thing. We can, of course, we're not here to take the piss and what's the word that I'm looking for? Rob people blind. It's not like that. But at the same time as well, we can utilize what we're providing as a service to massively benefit the community. Because at the end of the day, yes, of course, we want to help projects develop and maybe turn out and materialize to be quite a worthy perspective as a project. But at the same time, we do, of course, want to make the community money. That's how we're going to continue as a project. Otherwise, if we can't do that, the concept dies. So for us, yeah, we can tailor deals to favor, of course, the DAO treasury and of course stakers that are reflecting from the profits being generated.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course, like I said, like my example, so you have 10, 20 BNB, let's say 20 BNB, you do it, and then you make another 50% on that from the loan. Now you have 30, and you can snowball it from there as long as the decisions you guys are making, like are good decisions for projects where they actually are filling pre-sales to where you could get your loans back and all. Yeah, so honestly, I think it's a cool idea. It's a nice idea and another way for investors to invest. And you guys do have actual potential revenue coming in. It's not just like a promise of like, oh, we'll have the game ready in 6 months or anything like that. This is actual something that could be viable right from the get-go.
It is. It's an instantaneous reaction. It's as soon as we launch, we've got funding from, of course, pre-sale. We then can go and look to start to search and market for up and coming projects. But at the same time as well, we've built these partnerships. Now, of course, the partnerships that we've built are fully fledged marketers within this space, and they are known for filling pre-sales. That's a fact. So, of course, in some way, nothing's guaranteed in life except death and taxes. We appreciate that, but we can go into these very confident that we're going to be able to fill these projects pre-sales. That's the honest truth because of the people that we're working with. Conda's going to be doing bits, so we've got a lot of ammunition to go and tackle the market. And I can say now that we'd be very confident that these projects that we're going to be putting our faith into, we're doing that for a reason, because there's a reason to be bullish about that. With the right marketing, which we've got, we're confident that we'd be able to fill these pre-sales, and hopefully off the back of that, look to create quite a successful project. And the better we do, obviously the more profit we will make.
Yeah, perfect. All right, anyone else has any more questions, guys? We'll give it like 10 more seconds. I know Gabriel. Where's Gabriel at?
Guys.
How's it going, man? You have a question?
Yeah, I do.
My account is. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Sorry, I have a question. My account is restricted, so I can't type it. Can I go on?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's about the swap. Is the swap restricted to your token alone, or will it be possible to swap other tokens in the DAO Whale swap? And secondly, will it be possible to bridge in between blockchains in the swap?
Sorry, what did you mean by that? I'm quite confused. Can you repeat that again, please?
Is the swap restricted to your token alone, or will it be possible to swap other tokens in the swap? Do you get that?
No, I'm quite confused in terms of what you mean by the swap, because we're not doing any swaps. We're investing into certain projects with BNB or stablecoin.
Are you referring to bridging to for example?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, funnily enough, this is not going to give away too much, but this is a potential plan that we have for the future. So that's something that is possible.
Okay, and so I have a question about the staking. Can you hear me?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, how many % of total supply of a token is allocated to staking?
We've got 30% of total supply going towards staking. But like I mentioned before, that 30% of the token allocation is used as a plan B in case we don't produce profit from our investments to reward our stakers.
Okay, so what is going to happen if this 30% of total supply is exhausted, considering the fact that the APR is high and many investors might stake their tokens for a long period of time?
We are prioritizing our profits from the whale tank to reward the stakers. So we're the 30% will be vested over a long period of time. We're going to try our best not to touch it, because we're going to be putting our focus in the whale tank, producing revenue through the whale tank, investing into projects and making profits, so then we can reward the stakers.
Okay, I'm sorry. Me and my wife were holders of this. So about the staking, sorry, what's the limit I can stake? Is it limited or unlimited?
So there isn't a limit on how much you can stake. However, we are doing different staking options. The first one being you're freely to stake and unstake, and then we're going to have other options where those will be locked for certain durations of time.
Okay, do you guys have a wallet?
We have wallets for
private sale.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, private wallets for what? Sorry.
Wallet for the DAO Whale token.
Yeah, so the DAO treasury wallet will be on the DAO once it's fully developed. People can track how much money is in the DAO, where investments are going, how much profits we've made as a collective. It will be all publicly shown on our D app once it's ready. It's currently in development, by the way.
Okay, my question about this is, why did you decide to have the wallet? What are the unique features of the wallet that will make investors prefer it against the popular Trust wallet and the MetaMask wallet?
But I think you've misunderstood. We're not doing a swap platform or a wallet.
Okay.
We're a DAO.
Okay. What about the token on? Can you please
pretty AMA lover? Pretty AMA lover. I have a question for you.
Okay.
Did you actually listen? Did you listen to the AMA?
Yeah, I actually listened to it from the start.
Is there a purpose, like a reason why you're asking these questions? I'm just curious.
No, I'm also a holder, so I need to know about it. Me and my wife were a holder of this.
Holder of what?
We haven't launched yet, brother.
I'm just curious. Because just letting you know, we don't actually do giveaways based on questions. So if you're asking questions for the giveaway, we don't do that around here.
No, I'm not asking questions for the giveaway, brother.
This ain't no pink sale AMA where we have like 20 guys reading Google scripts to try to win $5. Just letting you know. But yeah, I mean, I'm just saying you could definitely ask your questions, but it just seems to me like maybe you're asking questions because it doesn't seem like it's really related to the project. That's all.
No, just wanted to know about the project. I'm not asking for a giveaway because I'm also part of the community.
Okay, I mean you're gonna definitely be entered into the giveaway. We'll do that later. But like, yeah, you don't have to actually and ask questions to be part of the giveaway. Just letting you know.
No, just asking questions to know.
But
Okay.
yeah, thank you for your participation. But I think there's one other question from Ali B. Rachel, I believe.
Oh, hello guys.
Hello.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so actually I've once asked a question on the group, but none actually replied the question. So I'm just trying to ask because I'm actually very curious. There's something I'm trying to bring up from it. So the question goes to us, and that is for your voting platform,
Yeah.
we can actually vote on it except if we are a holder of your token. Am I correct?
Yes. So you need to hold a specific amount of tokens in order to vote. The reason why we've implemented a minimum is so that people can't create multiple wallets, airdrop one token to each wallet, and artificially boost the votes. That would be unfair. So we're going to have a limit on how many tokens you need in order to vote, a minimum.
Okay, so now, as your ecosystem, once you guys run this ecosystem, definitely a lot of people will start coming into your community. Now, when people comes into your community, you should already know that it is not everybody that comes in that we actually buy your token. Get your token. So let's now assume that someone who is actually part of your community member, but is not holding your token, gives you a very good suggestion. How are you going to work on this?
Sorry, can you repeat that? I didn't quite understand the question.
Okay, so
yeah,
according to
I think I interpreted what you said there. So yeah, say for example, we get community members that come on board that aren't part of the WHAL tank essentially. From what I can understand, is you're asking if they have a suggestion, how do we listen or take that into action? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, are you going to work on that?
It's like anything really. If someone comes up with a suggestion that makes sense, then that's of course something that we'll be open ears to. It's not a closed, blinded project as such. It's like anything. If someone brings a good idea or a good suggestion forward, you listen, of course. So yeah, we'll be very open-minded. Thanks for your question.
Okay, that's actually very good. But you know that this thing is actually into two. Let me say the reason why I actually feel it is actually into two, or the reason why I feel this is kind of in my own way. Now, this your project actually deals with DAO. That means voting. It means we have to hold your token before we can vote. And then someone who is actually not holding your token can also give you advice, which you guys will actually work on. That's actually very, very perfect. But now, since I know that even without me holding your token, I can actually find something good to tell you guys about, and you guys will definitely work on it. That might actually still stop me from getting your token. Yeah, fine. I'm actually getting your token because I want to make more money and all, But then sometimes looking at that way, since I know as a person, if I give a very better suggestion without holding your token, you can take to the advice and you will definitely work on it. Then I might just be like, I don't need to get the token. So now what I'm trying to say is you should try and work around that kind of thing. Possibly, maybe some kind of there should be some kind of thing that those kind of suggestions, people who give those kind of suggestions needs to do before their suggestion is actually accepted. Fine, I know the suggestion are actually a very good thing that you will want to work on, but there should be another thing attached to it so that what your project is actually about will not depreciate. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
So you're basically saying, well, what I interpreted, we're not basically accepting random suggestions from random people within the community, right? All the votes and the proposals will be done through our DAO. So they'll be publicly available for people to see. And we're not going to just go on Telegram, read someone's comment and be like, oh, I think this is a good idea. I think we should roll with it. What we're going to do instead is we're going to go onto our DAO, because that's the reason why we created it in the first place, is so we can accept proposals and vote the proposals to take in consideration to what we want to do within the trajectory of our project. So in order for it to be fair, people need to vote on the DApp. They need to own the tokens and vote. Otherwise, if someone's just suggesting an idea in the community, it creates an unfair balance
Yes.
between people that have invested. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's actually just what I'm trying to get, and I think
Yeah.
you've already hit the aspect.
Oh, yeah. So you have to own tokens in order to create a proposal, or you need to vote. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
All right, awesome, guys. We can wrap it up. You want to do like a conclusion, like a statement?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, a thank you to all 60, 70 people that are in here today listening, and of course, thank you for hosting as well. It's always a pleasure. And of course, in regards to the flash sale, we still do have a couple of spots left. So maybe after review, there's a couple of spots left for participation for here as well. So if you're happy with what you've heard so far, feel free to test the waters and participate in the private, as there are a few remaining spots left.
So I think we got how many spots?
We have got
2 or 3.
2 left.
2 out of 5 left.
Yep,
Correct.
2 out of 5. Correct.
All right, cool. Yeah, I think once people DM me asking me what I feel about the project, I'll probably fill the rest.
Awesome.
That's fine. Appreciate it. And yeah, like I say, honestly, any questions that you may not have thought of whilst on AMA today, feel free to send us a message. Come and join the community. Say hello. We've got a friendly bunch over there. We've got a great team, good mods. So come over, say hello, and yeah, stay tuned for obviously decisions on launch type, and yeah, of course, continue to see the project development. We've got a lot of partnerships that are due to be closed and publicly announced over the next few weeks as well.
Yeah, thanks, guys. By the way, thanks everyone that's here today. That's the first AMA, especially from the DAO Whale community. And please, everyone, support them, support us, join their channel, ask any questions you have. This is a pretty good project, potentially really awesome project. We'll see how it goes. But I think the AMA went well. So I'm definitely an investor, and I'll be keeping tabs. And I also invite you guys as devs to be active here and provide updates, because we like to hold tokens. I mean, invest and hold when we see the devs are actually working, when they're active and they're doing something. But if they basically just have an AMA and never come back, like we literally had projects where we liked the project and they had like a pre-sale like a month later, and they never even came back to us to let us know. And like we missed the pre-sale, but I'm like, well, if they're not really taking the time out of at least to come back, I mean, they already paid for the AMA anyway, right? So they know that they had investors, potential investors, but if they're not going to take the time to at least DM me or post in our chat that, oh, we have a pre-sale coming up tomorrow, then it's like, why should I invest?
Yeah. We've only done 4. This is the 4th AMA. All the AMAs that we've done, we've been really receptive with all the updates that we've done in the past as well. So all the new partnerships that we're closing, we're announcing all the AMA groups, all the private communities, the public communities that we're in. We're just updating people with our next few steps.
And it'd be good to see a few of you in here in our Whale Tank, helping scope decisions for up and coming projects. So it'd be nice to see you all there.
Yep, definitely. And we actually started a Shark Tank too. Like, well, we had one so far where we had like developers send in their pitch, like video pitches, and then we had like a live 2-hour long session of just going through, doing some community questions, and picking a winner. So yeah, it was pretty fun.
That's really good, I have to say.
Yeah,
I think
one was really fun.
Whale Tank once it launches, brother. I reckon that'll be a good touch. You can represent your community in our Whale Tank. You're going to be joining the other panelists, which will be judging as well.
Yeah, you could potentially be a panelist, come on board and sit alongside 3-4.
Yeah, I actually did that with DGEMS. They had like a private Shark Tank months ago for like a project that was still really early at stage. And we had a couple guys now. We had Brian, we had Maurice, from Caesars, a couple other guys.
Yeah.
And I feel like I was the only one who like literally like not trash them, but I actually brought up like valid points. Like something that didn't make sense. For example, like a 40 million valuation at like launch price. I'm like, you guys don't even have a product. How are you valuing yourself at 40 million? Things like that, So I feel when I do it, I'm like no holds barred. Like, let me at it kind of thing.
I think we have a Shrimp. I think we have a panelist contender.
Yeah. Definitely.
Also, keep in mind is that if you mention Caesar calls, look at them. They're cool guys, but if project is going there, they know that they're not gonna get a trash talk, and they're not gonna just make a bad reputation there. And that's something when people need to consider when they're going to Anti-Ruggers United or any kind of Shark Tank competition, because you're gonna point out all the issues just before the launch. And if you do so, that means that a lot of those people are not gonna just join the pre-sale. So I see this as actually very valuable information for me, but for project owners, when they're not really sure about their project, that's something that I don't see often in the space.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, you could view it that way, or you could view it a different way, because you go somewhere else. It's kind of like when your girlfriend, let's say your girlfriend asks her boyfriend, "How do I look?" He has to answer very carefully, right? Or does this thing know that? But I think in a way, when you go to those AMAs where they just like pat you on the back and this and that, and like yeah, but then there's like a whole bunch of issues with the project, so they're gonna say it's awesome, and they're not gonna invest. Where here we actually help you guys out. If there's any issues, it's almost like a free advice in a way, because many projects that we had suggestions, and they actually took our advice and it made the project like 100 times better. Like you could ask almost every like half the AMAs or more where we had suggestions, they took it, and it actually did really well. So it's really helping the projects out. It's not like we're trying to trash them, like, oh yeah, this sucks, you guys are not gonna fill pre-sale. It's more of like, well, I think maybe you should do more liquidity, or else it's gonna the percentages, things like that.
I think
economics.
that a lot of people doesn't actually speak up, and any kind of AMA centers should actually speak up for those people and ask like very basic questions, like as any other investors will do. But what I see now in the crypto space is that you're paying, let's just say, 8 or 12 BNB for promo at a specific channel, and basically you're bulletproof. Anything what you have there, they're gonna put a smile on it and try to sell it no matter what. So I think that it's a wrong approach, and in the near future we'll see that trend will gonna change.
I'm actually really glad that I got the chance to speak on this, and especially speaking to you as well, because one thing that I've realized from pitching to venture capital and like startups is that a lot of these venture capitals, a lot of these investors, they have this mindset where they jump on the bandwagon. There's two different types of investors. There's momentum investors and thesis investors. Momentum investors, I'm not going to call anyone, but their mentality is, yeah, we're going to promote these guys, we're going to work with these guys just because a lot of other guys are working with these guys and that they've got hype. As opposed to a thesis investor, where they're more hands-on, they scrutinize certain projects, understand what they need help in. They're not afraid to point out certain points that they need to develop on, which is something I've experienced in you, which is great for the outcome of the crypto space. People need to hear these things. They need to hear constructive criticism in order to develop not only themselves, but the projects that they're working on and the people around them. That's the only way we're going to be able to propel, not in just crypto, but in everything that we do in life. We need to be able to accept constructive criticism. So many people have egos. They're not willing to hear what they need to hear in order to better themselves. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like the way that the devs respond to comments or constructive criticism really tells a lot about who they are and how the project will run. It really foreshadows a lot. Like, I mean, honestly, I wasn't gonna name drop, but screw it, I will. Like, we had projects where we had some arrogant devs in here. They thought they knew better than us, that they're like the smartest guys and smartest tools in the shed. For example, one of them is Meta Ruffy, the meta guy. I literally told them I had some issues with this, and this was their second token. I'm like, well, what happened to the development of the first one in 6 months? What have you done? Like, they have they had metaverse game, right? And basically, he got offended. He thought I was like, almost like fudding him. I'm like, no, we want to know. You said you have 50 developers. I want to know what. We even asked them what country they're from, just as in like, I want to know what country is that cheap where that you could afford 50 developers, because I want to hire some myself. I wasn't trying to be racist or nothing, right? And they're accusing us of being racist, of, being haters, fudding. And then honestly, look at their chart now. They literally rugged both their tokens. And now they're basically doing like a reverse launch. They would take going from 2 tokens to 1. And at the end of the day, like who turned out to be right? We had concerns, valid concerns. Their projects dumped. And now I told them, like, he even said I think in his group, if you search, oh yeah, we'll see 6 months from now, we'll be laughing. I'm like, yeah, we'll see who's laughing. And yeah, look at the chart now. So I'm just saying, like just the way the developers are, the CEO, the owners of the project, their mentality, it tells a lot about, how the project will go. If they're super arrogant and they just kind of say, well, screw you, it's usually not going to end well for them. So the way, you guys are and a lot of other devs, when they, are definitely willing to listen, willing to work, willing to change things, that would actually help the project out, that really shows that they are willing to make it better for the company, for the investment, for the token, whatever they're working on. So I think you guys, honestly, you guys did really good.
No, I really appreciate it, and thank you very much for the accommodation. Thanks for having us in. We'll keep you updated, obviously. Likewise, come and say hello. But yeah, there's definitely potential for a partnership, with us as well if you're open-minded to that. But that's something that we can definitely discuss behind closed doors. And yeah, I'm excited to see obviously where we can go. And keep you all up to date and tuned in with what we're doing and what we're getting done.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, we started talks with the partnership, so that's definitely something in the works. So, yeah, I'm definitely excited, guys. So, yeah, thanks again. Thanks to everyone that's been here today. And we'll end the AMA right now, and I'll be doing the giveaway shortly after.
Awesome.
Lovely. Thank you for your time.
We've got one more slot, and then we're closing the form until our next AMA. So if you want to get in now. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait for the next one.
Yeah, I heard there's one spot
3,
left.
2, 1, go. Last spot.
Oh, let me get my wallet in. Hold on, guys. Don't front run me.
So yeah, look,
see, this is the other difference between us and like a lot of other call channels. Is like all these pump and dumps, they literally front load, or they buy up the token and then they like make the call and then dump on their investors. I'm the opposite. Like literally all these AMAs when I'm buying tokens, I'm like, you know what, guys, don't front run me, but of course they always do. Like I'm literally giving the community a chance to buy before I do. So that's the difference here. We're not trying to I'm not trying to dump my whole bags on the community. I'm actually more interested in the community as a whole making money here.
Yeah, exactly that. But no, there's one last spot. So who's going to be the lucky one to get it? But honestly, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Obviously, stay tuned. Ask questions if you have questions, and likewise, we'll be popping and fluttering in and out of here as well and saying hello and showing our faces.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thanks. Great speaking to you. It's great questions, by the way. Yeah, we hope to speak soon, bro. Thank you, everyone else, for listening.
Yeah, and good luck on the rest of your AMAs and getting the private sale filled up.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's still very early, so the more AMAs that we do, the more we're going to develop, not only as a project, but as a team as well. So, yeah, within a week or two, we're going to have a lot more under our wing, bigger team, expanded, and yeah, we're just going to have a lot more bullishness on our side. But yeah.
And spread the word.
Yeah.
Feel free to spread the word and get people in. But yeah, it's a pleasure. Have a nice morning, afternoon, evening. And yeah, we'll all catch you soon.
Peace out, guys.
I see you guys. Have a good day.
Take care.
Bye bye.